Guys, welcome back to another video, and in this video we're going to be continuing on with our macOS development using AppKit tutorial series, and in this particular video we are going to be taking a look at how we can create an NSPopupButton in AppKit. Now, NSPopupButtons come up in two different forms. There's the pop-up button that's kind of just the normal pop-up button where it has different items that you can choose from and select one of them and all that kind of stuff. Not run any commands with the selection or anything like that. The second way that pop-up buttons manifest is a pull-down menu. A pull-down button, rather. Now, a pull-down button still gives you several choices to pick from, but there are a couple differences. The first one being that the first item you add to a pull-down button will be considered its label. So that the first item will not be something that you can pick in your options. Second, these menu items, or these items in a pull-down button, are generally for executing some kind of command, whether that be editing something, summoning an edit sheet, deleting something, whatever the case might be. A pull-down button can be used to display those kinds of commands. And so when you display a pull-down button, the button where you'll see an arrow is displayed differently. In a pop-up button, like in the kind of pop-up button that is not a pull-down button, you'll see an up and a down arrow vertically stacked on top of each other, indicating that it's simply it's simply just a drop-down menu that you can select an item from. A pull-down button, however, will display a button on the right-hand side, just like the pull-down button, but this time it'll just be a singular down arrow, still indicating that you can click it and it'll show options. But generally speaking, when you see that singular down arrow, it means something slightly different is meant to happen there. Alright, so let's go ahead and take a look at how we can create a pop-up button. Excuse me, my goodness. It's really early in the morning, so that's why I'm tired here. Okay, so beneath my array of strings here, you can see this array of strings is just names of Jedi Masters from Star Wars. If you are a Star Wars geek like I am, you'll recognize some of the names. If not, that's fine. You can do whatever data you want here. It can be fruits, it can be names of friends or family, whatever the case might be, right? You can do whatever you want here. But below this string array, I'm going to say var pb equals NSPopupButton. And we will leave it empty. We'll leave the initializer empty. Alright, so this is our pop-up button. Now, if we go down into our configure method, alright, I am going to remove this stuff here, except for the translates auto-resizing mask into constraints. All right. So now all we're doing is we're enabling the programmatic constraints, adding our pop-up button to the view, and constraining it. But what about configuring it? You're definitely going to want to configure your pop-up button. For example, adding items to it. Well, let's go ahead and take a look at some of these properties that we can use. So we'll say pb dot pulls down. Now, pulls down is a Boolean that determines whether or not your pop-up button should be a pull-down button. If it's false, like this, then it'll be a normal pop-up button. But if it's true, then it'll be a pull-down button. All right? We'll take a look at what the pull-down button looks like in a moment, but for now, we're going to keep it as a normal pop-up button. Next, we are going to say pb dot. Now, if you want to select a specific item inside of the pop-up button, you can call a function like select item at, and then give it an index, so that way it'll select a specific item by default when your app loads, or whatever the case might be, when you press a button or something like that. By default, the pop-up button will display the first item as being selected. Again, you can select a specific item, but this time with a tag. If you give your item a tag, you can alter a selected item's state if you want. You can get the index of the selected item. You can get the NS menu item that represents the current selected item. You can even get the title of the selected item. That it really depends which one you use. Really depends on which, what you want to do in your code. So we have all these different options here. You can get the array of items. You can get all of the item titles if you need them. You can get the last item. You can get the number of items. You can do all kinds of stuff here. Right? However, what we want to do is we want to add items to this pop-up button. And you can do that by calling add item or add items. Now, add item with title will allow you to add a specific item with a title, and this is a singular item. Add items with titles allows you to add multiple items at the same time using an array of strings. So you could do this, or you could also use a for each method on your data, and then call add item on the pop-up button, and that will work as well. We'll say add items with titles, and we'll say masters, like that. Okay. So we have a very specific problem here. It's not here. Okay, so I'm wondering if in the view did load I have something here from experimenting. I sure do. so I'm going to get rid of that here. Okay, we're going to save this, and then we're going to build. We will have a build failure, and that's fine. All right. So what I'm going to do here is I'm going to go to our issue navigator here, and we'll go through and fix these issues. Okay. So we can't find a specific thing in scope here. Okay, so I'm gonna get rid of that here. Okay. There we go. And we're good to go. Save that, run your code now. We still have an issue apparently. Cannot find PD in the scope. PB. Let's try this again now. There we go. Build succeeded. All right. It's loading. There we go. Now, this is our pop-up button. You can see it goes from one edge to the other with some padding. But the first item that's selected is Obi-Wan Kenobi. That's precisely what we want. But let's say we select a different Jedi Master. Let's say Qui-Gon Jinn. Now that is displayed as the selected item. That's great. That's precisely what we want if we just want to be able to select a specific item in a drop-down menu. For example, say when we're adding a workout to an app and you want to select the kind of workout, something like a pop-up button with a drop-down menu like this is perfect for that. If we go back into Xcode and we change pull downs or pulls down to true instead of false, so we can say true here, save this, and run our code again. We get a successful build, but now our pop-up button looks different, and that is because we changed this now to a pull-down menu. If we open up our pull-down button, we have 20 items instead of 21, because initially this array has 21 names. But because Obi-Wan Kenobi is the first item being added, that is this pull-down button's label and not a selectable item. Now let's select an item here. Let's say Luminara Unduli this time. Now, we don't see that selection here. We just see Obi-Wan Kenobi as its label. And that's because even when you select an item in a pop-up button that has pulls down set to true, it's not going to display its selected item because, again, a pull-down button is meant to be a kind of a drop-down menu of commands that you can execute, not items that you can just select and then get the selected item from. Right? But we're not going to cover how we can get these items, how we can get items in a pull-down button to actually execute something, because that would require learning about NS menu item. And we're not quite there yet. We're not too learning about NS menu items or NS menus. So we'll take a look back at this again when we get to that point. But for now, just know that a pull down button is meant to be for commands that can be executed in a more compact menu-like way. Right? Because even with VoiceOver focusing on it, or any assistive technology, it announces it as a menu button, not a pop-up button. Alright, so that pretty much does it for this video, guys. Thank you all so very much for watching, and we'll see you in the next one.